Welcome to Creating Intimacy and Respects podcast. I'm your host, Omar, and today we're going to be talking about some statistics and why it is important to do what we can as a couple in order to beat the odds that are against us. In the United States, half of all adults will go through a divorce. That is pretty significant. In today's society, 75% of divorces happen because of lack of commitment, not because of abuse, not because of infidelity, but because one person in the relationship is unhappy and they quit on the actual relationship. They choose to go find somebody else who will meet their expectations because the partner that they are with, they feel that they cannot meet those expectations for them. So it's a lot easier to just pick up our bucket of expectations and go find somebody else who will fill them up for us. I have used the analogy of a vehicle often to compare it to relationships. So you have your car. Most people don't think about preventative maintenance on their vehicle. They drive it around, they do what they need to do, it gets them from point A to point B day in and day out, and it becomes routine. But what's not routine is checking the oil, making sure that the air in your tires are filled up and filled up to the proper level, making sure that the transmission fluid is changed, making sure that you are on top of changing your brakes before you start hearing that awful noise of the grinding into your rotors. How many car owners actually take the time to do preventative maintenance on their vehicle? And what about the car owners who have that dreaded check engine light come on and it's been on for like 6 months and they still refuse to go get it checked out? Your car is telling you there's a problem. Something is broke. And yet we still have individuals that will drive around in their car for months. And that check engine light is a part of life. And that's what we do with relationships. We go through our relationship knowing that our relationship is not perfect, knowing that our relationship is broken, that check engine light is on, and yet we refuse to do anything about it. We refuse to put in the preventative maintenance. We refuse to get things fixed. And then as we are driving to work thinking everything is okay, boom, our engine is in flames. We got smoke coming out of the hood. We're pulling over because now we are stranded on the side of the highway wondering what in the heck just happened to my car. And then the panic sets in. I'm going to be late for work. I got to call my boss. How am I going to get the kids home from school? I'm supposed to be picking them up today. I have nobody I can count on to come and help me. Everybody that I've called is not available. And so now I am left stranded on the side of the road trying to pick up the pieces. And so that's what happens to our relationships. We continue day in and day out thinking everything is okay, ignoring all the warning signs that the check engine light is on. And then one day, out of nowhere, you find out that your spouse is no longer happy. They no longer want to be invested in the relationship. They are looking for a way out. They are wanting a divorce. And you're left stranded on the side of the road having to pick up all the pieces. So what happened? Where did it go wrong? Well, you didn't take the time or the effort to invest back into your relationship. And that's what happens. We run around with the check engine light. We ignore all the warnings. And despite all of this, we don't understand why our relationship failed. That is why you need to invest back into your relationship. And you can do this in many various ways. You can attend couples seminars. You can attend trainings. You can get couples coaching. You can surround yourself with friends and individuals who will actually be a champion for your relationship instead of telling you to leave or that you can do better. And it all starts with you. How much effort are you going to pour into your relationship? Now, I know there will be some of you who will say, I don't have time. I am too busy to invest and pour back into my relationship. There are some of you that say, with the kids and sports and all the school extracurricular activities that I'm having to attend and go to, I just don't have the time. I don't have the energy. But see, at the end of the day, that's an excuse. Because let's look at your wedding day. How much time, how much energy and effort did you pour into your actual wedding day? Because if you think about it, did you just go in and find the first dress that you saw and decided to go with that? Or did you have to keep trying on dress after dress after dress to find the perfect one? Were you able to nail down what colors you wanted for the wedding? Did you actually have to spend time to go over the music list? Did it take you a while to figure out what song you were going to dance to for the first song as a couple? What about the catering? Were you able to decide on exactly what catering you wanted to do? And what about the wedding cake? Did you just go to your local bakery and just pick one out? Or did you custom order it? Did you take the time to try all the different flavors of the possibilities that were available to you for a cake? That's a lot of time and energy and effort that was invested into the wedding day. And once you guys got married, that was it. There was no more investment back into the foundation of your marriage. And for some couples, that was the most communication you have had in your marriage. So in order to beat the odds and beat the statistics of divorce, we have to do something that's different. In order to have what nobody else has, we have to do the things that nobody else does. And so with that, find something that will invest and pour back into your actual marriage, that will pour into your relationship and pour into you as an individual and as a couple. Learn how to check your oil. Learn how to change your own tires, how to change your own brake pads. Learn when it is time to do a radiator flush. Learn when it is time to get the timing chain replaced. You have to learn all those things. And if you don't take the time or the effort to do it, your relationship will fall apart, just like that car. And so find things that will pour back into your relationship. I know for some individuals, this can be a challenge because as we were growing up, we have formed our own perceptions about how a relationship should be by what was modeled by our parents. So if you grew up in a home where there was no fighting, that's how you believe a marriage should be. So when you go off and get married and your relationship is in high conflict all the time, you're going to think that that relationship is a failure, that you don't need to be married, and you're going to be looking for divorce. Because if your spouse truly loved you, then you wouldn't be fighting. On the other hand, if you grew up in a home where your parents fought all the time and that's pretty much how they communicated, was yelling and screaming at each other, that's going to be the norm for you. And you may very well be the same individual who screams and yells at your spouse because that is what was modeled. That is how a relationship works. And so when you bring that into your marriage, you will find yourself divorced because that is different from what your spouse believes a normal relationship should be. It's also getting both of you on the same page, going through a couple seminar to learn how to communicate to each other in the same way, how to resolve conflict, how to strengthen your bond, and engaging in activities and discussions that will help deepen an emotional connection. We talked about preventative maintenance. Well, just like regular checkups on your car, couples that do preventative maintenance in their relationship will address potential issues. that could become major problems later on down the road. Also, talking about things helps with healthy boundaries. Understanding and respecting each other's boundaries is crucial, and couples training can help define and honor those boundaries. You know, one of the toughest challenges about marriage is the different types or styles of parenting. So for couples with children, a training seminar can offer different strategies for co-parenting effectively and maintaining a strong partnership while raising kids. Because I know in some relationships, you invest all your time and energy in your children, but your children are not going to be living at home forever. One day they will grow up and one day they will move out of the house. And then you will find yourself living with a stranger because you invested all of your time with your children instead of investing those moments together as a couple. One thing that I did not talk about, because I wanted to save it kind of towards the end, is when you invest back into your relationship, you will learn how to create intimacy, both emotional and physical, because couples, we need both, right? Women, you tend to need the emotional connection in order to be physical. And men, you need that physical intimacy in order to have that emotional connection with your spouse. And so it's a win-win situation. But you have to be on the same page. You have to know how to communicate and how to express your needs and your desires. Being on the same page will also reduce stress. Couples who tend to be on the same page can contribute to the overall well-being and reduce stress levels for both individuals. Also, it will help with any type of life transitions that we have, because we know that things in life just happen beyond our control. Major life changes, such as moving, changing jobs, or having another child, can strain a relationship. So couples who go through trainings will learn how to use tools, how to strategize and navigate through these transitions together, and to ensure that the partnership remains strong and positive. Sometimes couples will fall into patterns of behavior that are not conducive to a healthy relationship. A couples training can provide a fresh perspective and new approaches to relationship challenges, helping partners break out of a negative cycle or even develop healthier habits. So my question to you is, knowing all of these positive things that can happen by attending a training or investing back into your relationship, what is holding you back today? Are you willing to take the chance and roll the dice of being a statistic of divorce? Because after all, 75% of divorces happen because of lack of commitment, not because of adultery, not because of infidelity, but because somebody was not happy in the relationship, so they decided to take their expectations somewhere else and have somebody else fill that bucket of expectations. And if you think that being married is tough, just imagine being in a committed relationship. It is a lot easier to walk away from a relationship when you are not married. But here's the thing. These patterns, these behaviors that you learn, you go into the next relationship and you take all of that junk with you. You take all of that baggage along with you. Then you find yourself in another relationship and it feels the same. Everything looks the same. And then you wonder why it's the same thing. Well, I can give you the reason why. It's because you are the common denominator. The habits that you've learned, the behaviors that you have taken, the baggage that you have dragged into the next relationship, you haven't learned. You haven't learned how to communicate properly. You haven't learned how to resolve conflict. You are still doing the same things because we as humans are creatures of habit. And we go back to what is natural. And what's worse is that most of the time we don't even know that we are doing it. And so it has to change with you. That concludes this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And if you are in search for more tips and tools, you can find us at circouples.com.